Welcome back, folks, to the Get a Grip on Life podcast. On today's show, I have Vincent Bowe, author and personal trainer. But before we get into chatting with Vincent, I want to tell you a little bit about what Get a Grip Studios is doing during this pandemic and the COVID-19 crisis, or whatever word you're using for it today, because it seems to change in real time a lot. But we're remote. So if you want to produce a podcast or you want to do some digital video media, now's the time to go to getagripstudios.com. Check it out. Send Scott an email, producer@getagripstudios.com. And you can go ahead and make a podcast. Why not if you're sitting at home? Hey, Vincent, how's it going, man?
Hey, I'm blessed, man. Thanks to be here, and thankful to be here. And how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start talking about the book you published, or do you want to talk about personal training? Let's start with the personal training and who you are.
Yes,
Were you an athlete early on in life?
absolutely. I played football starting at 7 years old. Come from Hampton, Virginia, so that's a very big athletic state and city. So yeah, I played football starting at 7. I ran track. I boxed a little bit. And then of course I've done everything else that the kids do, like running around outside playing basketball, and I'm just very active as a child, and so that definitely carried on into me going into college and wanting to pursue athletics and also fitness.
So did you play sports in college?
No, at that point it was all academics, and more so. At that point, I started thinking about life beyond just sports and beyond school. I'll be honest with you. It started getting to a point where I was saying, "Well, do I want to, be like everyone else and just kind of join this rat race of trying to get into the NFL?" And I knew the statistics on that. Basically 1%. And I just didn't
Less
want to
than
join it.
1%. It's
Right.
funny. It's funny about in Canada. I mean, there's a lot of hockey players in Canada.
Mhm.
Okay, like it's funny because I was talking to a guy about the NFL, and they were saying that the NBA, you have to be a certain side. Like the chances of getting into these elite sports, I think it's 24 children from every birth year in Canada will
Mhm.
play a game in the NHL. One
Wow.
game,
Yeah. Wow.
right? And it's probably very similar. And the other thing is, like, there's lots of football players in the United States, and they're all really, really, really good
Mhm.
at the top level, the college guys. And a lot of them, certain positions you have to be a certain size, but a lot of times it's the luck of what team you went to, whether you stayed healthy or not, if you got an opportunity to play, if when
Yes.
you got an opportunity to play, the quarterback was a good quarterback, or your running back was a good running back, or if you're playing with there's a lot of different factors that are way beyond the control of the athlete. The other thing
Absolutely.
is you could get a lot of brain injuries on the way into the NFL.
Yes. And yeah, I can even piggyback off of that. And I've even experienced that in high school. I've taken a few hits, blacked out, and
Mm,
probably even played with a couple of concussions before it went on notice nationally the way that it is now.
sure.
So yeah.
Yeah, I played rugby at the university level, which is, which is I call it tiers. So fighting in a cage or boxing in a ring is a tier one sport in terms
Mhm.
of contact, right?
Right.
But football and hockey and rugby, these are tier two. Like you're allowed to hit a man as hard as you can within a certain set of parameters.
Right.
Like grown men are allowed to hit each other as hard as they can, as long as they do it in a certain way. Whereas
Yes.
in a cage, you're full blown fighting, but
Mhm.
you have a lot of really hard collisions in rugby, and you have in football as well. You have collisions between people of different sizes.
Right. And the force of the impact.
Yeah. So I got hit, and I didn't even get my head hit, but I got a whiplash concussion playing rugby. And I remember walking home, and this is 1997. I remember walking home and not remembering where I lived.
Mm. Wow.
Like getting lost walking back to my house.
Yeah.
So head injuries are real. And it's like one of those things. Like, do you really want to get in a cage and fight another man? Do you really want to, get on that field and it's a real choice that I don't think people were aware of in the past. That I think it's important that people be able to make that choice informed nowadays.
Yes, you definitely have to take that into consideration, and you also have to go into it thinking about the longevity of things. Like, how are you going to be 10, 20 years after this career? Are you going to be able to interact with your kids? Are you going to be able to hold a conversation, without the words, like losing the words right in the middle of your train of thought? And, these are things that they're starting to do studies on and see with the CTE and some other things. And, we've seen some people even go through drastic measures like a Junior Seau who, took his own life.
Yeah.
And then we're also starting to see more and more players now act out in ways that are telling that, you might have symptoms of CTE. I know at the beginning of the football season of last year, there was a big fiasco with Antonio Brown, and people, started looking at those actions, and I'm not gonna lie, even myself, I'm wondering, like, this guy all right? We know about the big hit that he took. I believe it was against the Cleveland Browns. I forgot what year that was, but that was a nasty hit, and against the Bengals, and I don't think he ever recovered from that fully.
There's another angle to this as well, that I think is maybe it's a topic we might want to cut out of this. You might want to, but when you're in those, there is a real pressure to be violent in those cultures.
Yes, indeed.
When you're getting ready for a rugby game and you're in that circle and you're holding your other brothers like that and you're looking at each other in the eye, you feel like you're going to war against the other team, man.
The mind of a gladiator.
Yes, dude. And you are, and you are hot, and that mindset is encouraged. And that's not like, this is not the actions on the field of rugby or on a football field or fighting in a ring or in a cage. You're not making decisions, dude.
Right.
You're relying on the impulses of being in battle, and maybe you're playing by the rules a little bit, like you're playing within a set of rules as you train and you learn to play a game.
Right.
But man, those people that play in the NFL are jacked on testosterone. Okay, these are very strong men. Okay, like if you're in the NFL, I mean, think about it. If you're a lineman, you weigh 300 pounds. Okay, you're strong as a bull, and you can probably run the 40 in 4 seconds or 4.5 seconds or something.
Yeah,
like that's scary, man. That's a scary individual.
And they're getting faster by the year, and so it just tells you where the game is moving. And you think the game is violent now? It's only going to get more violent.
The people that play these sports today are way stronger and faster than they were 30 years ago.
Right.
Like, you watch the NHL is the best to watch because because you can see it in the NFL too and the NBA. Go back and watch like a football game from the 60s. It looks like it's going in slow motion.
Slow motion, yes.
Watch a hockey game from even the 90s. Like, it looks like they're going in slow motion. You look at the equipment they wore and all this sort of stuff. I would say that the guys that today are at least 50 to 60% faster and stronger and more athletic than they were, plus the diet and everything else. So the hits, the amount of pounding these guys are taking is definitely much higher. And there's no compassion or sympathy for, like, let's say Junior Seau fortunately he didn't commit suicide. Okay, let's say that happened. And because I think he was involved in some domestic disputes with his wife.
Yes.
There's nobody that has any sympathy for him at all. Right. But I think that suicide began to shed light on this a little bit, Vincent, that, these guys' brains are damaged and they're acting out in ways that they wouldn't have acted out in had they not participated in this athletic endeavor.
Yeah. It's almost like a plea for help.
In a way it is. Yeah. But there's no compassion for them at all.
No, because again, it boils back down to that gladiator mentality, and they have it, and us as fans or viewers of it, we have it. We want to see the bone crushing hits. We want to see, people get smacked on the
Mhm.
football field. And, that's what excites us. That's what excites them as players and their coaches. Even for myself, back in high school, we used to have this thing. We used to have a golden hammer for the person who delivered the biggest hit during that week. So you're going throughout the week in practice thinking, I want to get that hammer, and I'll get it by any means necessary.
For
And
sure.
yeah, so people are going through the same thing in all levels of the sports, whether it be college or NFL.
So we're down a topic here. I want to throw a theory I have at you.
Okay.
And we're going to get to everything else, but it's a podcast. We can talk about whatever we want, right?
Absolutely.
So if you look at the structure of America's relationship to football,
Yes.
okay,
yeah.
America has a really interesting relationship to that sport that no other country has. Canada has a similar relationship to hockey, but
Right.
football is much more structured. And what I believe is going on with football, and you might laugh about this, but take it seriously after you laugh, okay? I think American football is America's mating ritual.
Mhm.
Okay? So here's why. If there's one sport that women will never participate in against men, it's going to be football.
Right.
Okay? So only men play football. Okay?
Yeah.
And then on Friday and Saturday and Sunday, so you have high school on Friday, you have college on Saturday, and you have football on Sunday. So football, is in a sense, has replaced church for a lot of Americans. Okay, so it's like a religion in that it's every Sunday. Okay, there's a football game. You don't have to think about it. Every Friday night in your town, there's a football game
Right.
on a certain time. And every Saturday night, every Saturday, there's a college football game. And then what do the girls do? How are they involved with football? They stand on the sides and they get in these skimpy little outfits and they cheer on the gladiators as the gladiators run into battle. Ooh, and they do these crazy, it's not like but there's a sexual element to the way they're dressed and the way they dance.
Yeah.
And the way they dance in front of it, and they got the pom poms, and they're in like kind of tight outfits, and there's like the crowd is cheering, and the testosterone is flowing, and there's like a vibration in the stadium. Like if you've been to a big college football game, there's a serious textured vibration in that.
Right.
You can feel it, right? And our team is going to win, and our boys are stronger than your men. Our men are, and there's a real mating ritual aspect to football in the United States, which I've never heard anyone point to. And there's nothing else like it. There's no other sport like it in the world. You don't have it for soccer. You don't have it for baseball. You don't have it for the NBA. You have a little bit of it in the NBA. There's an element of it in the NBA,
Yes.
but football's a full-blown mating ritual.
Yeah, and I agree to that. But I would like to ask you, and why do you think that is?
Because we need it. We humans need it. We want it,
Right.
in a way.
Right.
And like there's something to there's something to the. So let me ask you this. Going back to the idea of fighting in a cage. So you did a little bit of boxing, but you decided probably, hey, you know what? I don't like getting punched in the head.
Right. And my parents weren't going to go for that either.
Yeah. Like that's why boxing traditionally kind of became the poor man's sport, right? If you lived in poverty, that was your way out, right?
Right.
But why is it you look at the UFC, you look at it, why would someone want to get in a cage and fight another man? And you're not beating up some chump, man. If you're the champ, you got to fight the toughest guy in the world,
right,
over and over and over again.
Yeah. It goes back to just feeding yourself, like almost kind of feeding your ego to a sense.
Yes, it's about fame and ego.
Yes, and being the heavyweight champion of the world, that's going to guarantee you the top endorsements. It's going to guarantee you the finest lady in the room.
Yeah, finest ladies, buddy.
Right. So,
like I'm going to say this, but this is kind of wrong. But guess what? The guy that walks out of the cage with the belt gets the girl. That's kind of the premise of it all.
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And then that's why you take a side, right? I'm cheering for this guy, or I'm cheering for this football team, and I get the girl if our team wins. It's like it's a mating ritual, man. And the only reason dudes fight in the UFC, a lot of them at the end of their careers are fighting for money, but that's not why they got into it, dude. That's not why they got into it. You ask, like when you look at Mike Tyson, I listen. Mike's a troubled guy, but I love Mike, man. Whenever I hear him talking, man, that
Yeah.
guy's an inspiration. Okay,
Right.
but dude, it got to the point where he's wrestling tigers in his underwear, man. You know what I'm saying? Like he's so deep in the. I need tigers. How many tigers you want, Mike? Give me 6 tigers. I need 6 tigers. And then he's in his backyard. He's wrestling tigers in his underwear. It's a huge ego fame thing, and dudes want it, man. And they're willing to fight in a cage with another man.
Yes.
To get the fame.
Right. And
like that's crazy to me, Vincent.
Yes, it is. It is. And I even question if it starts off like that. Like initially, because hearing Mike Tyson talk, he talks about how he had this killer instinct inside of him.
Mm-hmm.
When he was training with Customato and he was just on the streets out there in Brooklyn, there was this killer instinct within him that wanted to fight and wanted to battle. And so that was the initial thing. Once you see the glamour and what this life can bring you and the money and all the Robin Givens and all of that, then that's when you say, whoa, my life can be very different. I want to pursue this more. And it just, you just thirst.
That fame is intoxicating, man.
Yes.
It is. But I'll tell you this, man. When you listen to, and I think most men that played sports at a relatively high level, so I'm not talking about, professional, but let's say you were a good college athlete or you're a really good high school athlete or a good hockey player or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what Mike's talking about when he talks about that killer instinct.
Right.
You can feel it in your heart that you know what he means when he's saying, I just wanted to fight other guys. I wanted to do that. Like there was something there. And I don't think it's just a poverty thing, but I think the poverty thing makes you pursue it whole hog. It's all you got.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Whereas you can channel that energy into other things. If you have opportunities in your life, you can channel it. Yeah. But if you don't have opportunities in your life, if you're like a Mike Tyson or you're growing up somewhere that's really rough, you don't have anywhere to channel that energy, man. And once you look at it and you get that fame, I believe that these things are mating rituals. I think humans want them. I think they enjoy them. And I think it's what's the right word? It's primordial.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back to when, like chimpanzees behave the same way, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The top chimp gets the girls. The toughest chimp.
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that, man. Yeah, I was watching was it Serengeti documentary series on and they were showing these baboons how they did the same thing. The top baboon would challenge anyone in the clan, and he was the one who gets to make with all the females. He gets to call the shots and just everything. And like you said, it does trickle down into our sports and our interactions as well.
Yeah, I think what we've done in civilized society is we've taken that and channeled it into professional sports and put it into a structured environment where the fans can participate in it as well and get the boost they need and the feed, they have the release they need from seeing it. And in a sense, when you become what you behold. Yeah. So if you're cheering for John Jones or you're cheering for Stipe Miocic or whoever it is in the ring and he's your guy, Daniel Cormier, and he loses, you kind of feel the pain of loss.
Right. Yes, you do. You do.
Vicariously, Yes. Think about Ireland went nuts when Conor McGregor won the championship, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that nation went completely crazy. Living vicariously through that guy. Now, again, he went into the ego space. There you go. Yeah. There's another Mike Tyson example. Right. Yep. Perfect example, actually. Yeah. But again, perfect example, actually. Mm-hmm. But, I think we need these. They're like release valves for tension or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it
and we
takes us
need
away
them.
from our day to day lives, and that's the main reason why they've given us these things in larger increments. Recently, like you talk about football, how it used to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Well, now it's become Sunday, Monday, Thursday, and now they're even talking about possibly doing Fridays, and so this thing could get crazy. And again, it just goes back to people's want of they want to get away from reality, the taste of reality,
Mm.
their mundane jobs, their mundane schedule. And if you don't have anything, let's say you had that killer instinct or that spirit, like you said, you get to live vicariously through your team or through this fighter, and you feel like you just knocked out this person. You feel like you just did this playoff run into the championship. And so, yes, it's very gratifying.
I want to comment on that with personal training.
Yes.
I think it's interesting. Like, so, I hated lifting weights. Okay. When I was younger. So when
Right.
I got on the scales at my university giving my weight and giving my height and all that sort of stuff you get in. So
Yeah.
I weighed 138 pounds.
Okay.
Okay. I was
Yeah.
really lean.
Right.
I'm not that tall, but really lean guy, really
Right.
fast, this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the guy looks at it, he goes, whoa, okay, we're going to just write 160. Right.
Mm.
He's like, we're not going to write that weight down. We're going to write this weight or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. But, so there's like a dynamic of, what, how you are when you're, how big you are and this sort of stuff that goes into it. But my point was this: there's an interesting element to, when we're talking about chimpanzees. So they did a study on chimpanzees, and what they did was they put a plate of treats together, and they gave the chimpanzees tokens, and they taught them to buy the treats. Okay, this is going to be interesting. And so what happened was the chimpanzees started fighting over the tokens. Okay. And then here's what's really interesting, and I don't even know if it belongs in the podcast, but the chimpanzees started offering sex to other chimpanzees for tokens.
Wow. Wow.
Like you see the primordial nature.
Yes. Yes.
Of it. So the guy fights, gets the tokens, and then the girls will give him sex give the chimpanzee that has all the token sex for tokens.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy, dude.
Yes,
that happened.
And well, it just lets you know that we're not that far off from the totem pole when it comes to us being different from animals. We come from that place. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
As a species. But let me ask you, you have that fire instinct in people. When you're personally training people,
mm-hmm.
How do you try to tap into that a little bit?
I do. Are you asking for myself or for the other individual?
I both, actually. That's even better. So, like, when you're training someone, are you competitive about their training then? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Like, when I get in there and train someone, I want my energy to be contagious. So you never want to go into a session with this dull energy, because otherwise that person's going to feel it. And so how can they get up? So no, like I should be sweating with them. That's how much intuitive I should be with them. Getting in there, pushing them. And as a trainer, I have the fire in me to want to pull the best out of that person. And then for them, it's about them stepping out of their comfort zone. And also just tapping into, pushing more than what they normally would. But I will say that, you do have to kind of temper it down a bit, because sometimes these people, they'll have fire in the wrong direction. They want to push it hard when they should be scaling it back.
It's funny because I signed up, and when I was 38, I noticed that I got fat a lot easier. I couldn't just eat whatever I wanted. Yeah.
Hey, you know what, Mike? I'm going through the same thing now. I'm 27, and I'm starting to realize that my body does not react the same way that it used to. Pain doesn't go away as fast as it used to, and the body fat doesn't shed off as quickly as it used to. So.
Right. So it's only getting worse, bud. That's a downhill slope. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was 38 and I realized, geez, man, I can't eat the food I want to eat. And and I have a lot of pains in my body and this sort of stuff. So I went to a gym near my house and talked to, actually a guy named Luke Sellers. He's done a bunch of podcasts with me, but we sat down and we talked it through, and he's like, I'm like, I'll do like 3 sessions. And he's like, well, he's like, what's 3 sessions going to do for you? Right. So I signed up for 96 personal training sessions a year. Okay. And it paid for it up front. And that forced me to go to go to every session. And over the course of I went from absolutely hating lifting weights and working out, pushing sleds and stuff like that, to a point after about 3 or 4 months where it became something I didn't mind doing, to the end of it after a year to where it was something like, if I don't work out, I'm getting antsy. I got to go work out. I got to go lift weights. Right. It also helped me with some chronic injuries I had, like in my elbow, I had some tendonitis, in my shoulder, I had a little bit of tendonitis, and just doing some, what did he call it? He called it, we did 6 weeks of, something adaptation, where it was, basically lightweight to get to strengthen my tendons and all that before I started.
Right.
There's something adaptation. I can't remember. It's, anyway. So yeah, we did that, and then but now I work out 3 or 4 days a week, every week. Now that I'm on this COVID thing, I'm trying to go for runs and do push-ups. But yeah, I think that there's something to changing your brain path over time with exercise that's important for adults to remember when they get started on something like this. What's your experience?
Absolutely. I'm pretty sure that you're aware of the 21 to 30 days it takes to create a new habit. Right. So, with that, it's like, that's the approach. The approach is you have to be consistent and know that this isn't going to be just some, quick thing, or no, this is going to be a complete lifestyle change. And you have to stay consistent. You have to be accountable. And one of the greatest ways to do that is to, include other people in on your journey, and to incorporate new things so you don't plateau. For me, it's about switching it up. So, I'll go and do some boxing training one day, and then the next day I'm coming to hit weights, and the next day I'm doing, cardio, or I'm doing interval training where, I'm doing a little bit of strength and cardio on the same day. And, it's just about mixing it up, and understanding your body. People go through discouraging times when they plateau, so that will get them to, slow it down or stop it. That's the time when you should really ramp it up. And so I definitely understand exactly where you're coming from with the feeling of getting antsy when you don't work out, because I feel the same way. Now you get so used to having your muscles feel tightened, that pump that they talk about. And if you don't have it, and you feel, your body becoming a little bit softer and just pudgy, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right.
Yeah. The with the crisis, do you have a gym in your home?
Yes. And I had a little bit of foresight into this, because before all of this happened, there was something in my mind saying, go ahead and just get the home gym together. Now look at where we are. All gyms are closed, but I can still get that work in. And I encourage people to, that's something that they can do. Definitely try to fit in some sort of, either a little bit of gym equipment or something in your home. That way you can eliminate distractions. You can eliminate excuses of, I can't get to the gym. Any excuse that you have now, any possible excuse, you're eliminating that. I know a lot of people right now are probably using the COVID for an excuse of not, working out and maintaining their self. But hey, I think that this is a prime time to get in more work than you would have before this.
What's interesting is that you can get a good workout with a chin-up bar and a 60-pound kettlebell.
Yeah, yeah, right. And it's all about you just have to really know the different movements that you can do, different variations of things. So, like you said, with a kettlebell, you can do different squat movements. You can do hip
Mhm.
dominant movements. You can even, you can do some curls. You can do swings. I mean, the possibilities are endless, and it's just about getting creative. Even with the pull-up bar, the things that you can do with that, you can tie bands to that, do some rows, lat pull downs. Um, Again, it's just about kind of having different things in your toolbox and being able to get creative. I've seen,
Mm.
now this is bringing people to drastic measures to get more and more creative. People are working out with tissue rolls and water bottles and and just doing a lot of body weight things. And hey, I commend them for it.
Sure. Let me talk a little bit about this novel you've come out with, The Elite Way, um,
Yes,
Faces of Prophecy.
yes.
Okay. Interesting. I think it's interesting that uh, what, how dare you write a novel?
Yes.
you know, what inspired you to do that?
Well, I've always had, two loves. I've always loved sports, and then I've always loved literature, reading, and writing. And that love really took me by storm. Maybe like when I was in high school, and I would write these essays for school, and my teacher would pull me to the side and just say, "Hey, you're very good," and she would read them to the class, and the class would enjoy them. And so I said, "Hey, maybe there is something here." Once I got to college and undergrad, I know same thing there. Professor was really enjoying things that I wrote, and so that just kind of stuck with me. I used to write little stories in middle school when I was younger, and so I was coming into my last year of college, and I went to like a theme park, a theme park, and when they have like the little side shows, you can go in there and watch those. And I just
Mhm.
had this idea from that, watching that, and I said to myself, wow, this would be a cool story, this fantasy story of these four fighters fighting, just all these different creatures and going through a different world. And what's funny is I had been building that story all my life. Like as a kid, I used to think about that. As a kid, I used to, play with my action figures and think about that story. So um, when it finally came down to it, I was getting ready to make it. It was initially going to be a screenplay. Like I was going to write a movie script for it. But the girl that I was dating at the time, she kind of pulled me to the side and was like, "Hey, instead of trying to make a film for it initially, why don't you try to get a fan base for it first and write the book so that people can get familiar with the characters?" And thought about that, and hey, a couple of years later, that's the road that we took. And so yeah, but
I
yes,
think that's good advice.
yes,
I think
indeed,
that's good advice. It's interesting that I think that was really good advice because when I wanted to start a podcast, my wife said to me, "You know what? Why don't you start a podcast about something you know about first, which was
right,
lighting?" Instead of like, I wanted to just have conversations with guys like you know what I mean?
right,
People like you that smart, intelligent, thinking about topics, weaving our way through a conversation. Because one of the things is how often do you get to get someone's attention for a significant period of time and just be dedicated to speaking to them nowadays? Very rare.
much, right,
Yeah. So I wanted to do that. And so luckily now I'm able to do that. But she told me to start a podcast about the lighting business. And it's interesting for you to get your story out first.
yes,
Let's see if you can write a story that other people want to read,
yes,
and if they want to read it, if you get a bunch of people to read it and they like it, I think the other people, the story has to be good first. You know what I'm saying?
You kind of cut out at the last part. What was the last part you said?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So that I think the fact that you got your story down
Mhm.
is the key. You
Yes,
know what I
yes,
mean? If you end up you end up being able to like then turn it in. Like, I mean, trying to make a movie is way more complicated than trying to make a
Right.
book. You know, so I think that was great advice. How's the reception for the book been?
Say that one more time. How was what?
How is, yeah, we've gotten a little bit tight here as well. I noticed that the the connection's a little bit tight. How has the reception for the book been?
Oh man, the reception has been phenomenal, man. One thing that stood out to me is the fact that people are picking up on the message, and then they're picking up with what I intended for. So again, I told you I initially wrote it as a movie, and so when I wrote it, I still kept that same element to it. Like I wanted to make people feel like they were sitting down and reading a film, feeling like they were watching a movie. And from reading the reviews and getting, people's comments, that's one of the main things that stands out to me is people saying that this felt like a movie. I could see this, and I want to see this on the big screen now. People are taking the message of what it stands for. It's about pushing to be your best self. It's about stepping out of your comfort zone and going above and beyond the expectations, and not having any fear in that. And so, if that message is being relayed to the readers out there, then by all means, hey, this is doing exactly what I intended.
Well, that's fantastic. What's the actual plot of the story? How does it go? How does it, like, what is it that the fighters are trying to achieve, and what are what are the complications of the characters? Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, well, initially these characters are four fighters who are in New York, and they go there for a fight tournament. Now, coming into this fight tournament, there's a prize for $500,000 in endorsement deal, and obviously that could be life changing, right? So they're going into it with this just personal gain, but after I don't want to spoil it for those who haven't read the book, but
sure, no one spoil it.
Yeah. But after some disasters happen, and they get transported to this new world, now they have to understand that it's not just about you individually. Now you're going to be coming together with these other people you don't know, four strangers having to come together and basically become comfortable in this new world, reinvent themselves as fighters. They're going to have to throw away everything that they come here with, because the opponents that you were facing on Earth are not going to be the opponents that you're facing in this world. And also, and also getting over their own personal demons. We all have personal demons, and these four, they come in with their own, and then there's going to be divisions within the group, amongst certain individuals, and then there will be those times where they're learning about one another. So it's just cool to go on this journey with them, to see how they started with this one track brain of, I want the prize, I want the notoriety, I want the fame, and then you just have to drastically drop that and come into this new situation of, you don't know anything, you're going to learn from scratch, and you're going to work with these individuals for a much bigger cause than just $500 and whatever endorsements and accolades that come after
that. So the Elite Way, Faces of Prophecy. Where can people find the book, Vincent?
Yes, they can go to the elitewayseries.com. That's our website, and that also has all the news and different updates. They can also go on Amazon, Apple, Google, everywhere. You can find it just about anywhere on any book platform. If you are in Los Angeles, you can also go to the Elite Bookstore out there in the Baldwin Hills Town Center, Baldwin Hills Mall, and it's there at the Elite Bookstore.
Oh. So Scott's going to put a link to that book on the website. So if you're listening to this right now, there'll be a link on the getagriponlife.com website, the Amazon link, and to all the places that you can buy the book. And should people you on your social media, Vincent?
Yes. For social media, you can follow us on at the Elite Way Series on Instagram and at Mecca.vision. That's MECCA.vision, VISION on Instagram. And if you guys want to find out more about Mecca Company or Vault Publishing, or even if you would like to schedule a consultation to get some fitness tips or a fitness program, you can visit meccacompany.com.
Before we shut it down here, I didn't even ask you. I forgot. What is the Vault Publishing? Do you offer publishing services to other people?
Absolutely, absolutely. So,
okay, that's cool. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so for the Vault Publishing, we will. There's a lot of publishing companies out there that have these standard rates of just flat rates, and they're a little high, which will be very discouraging for someone who just has this great idea, but they never get from point A to B because financial reasons, right? So we're the ones who, yes, we do have flat rates, but on the other end, we will kind of also offer coaching. So we won't completely do everything for you, but we will, steer you in the right direction of getting your ISBNs, going through the book production and book formatting, getting a cover. We'll help people get their cataloging data and just take care of legalities and all the things that you have to before, making a book. People think that
you're like the Get a Grip Studios for authors.
Yes, I'm trying to get there.
Yeah, that's what it is. So like we're doing the same for people that want to start podcasts, right? So, Scott's available. Like, because the problem with producing a podcast is it's not most people that have an idea for a podcast, Vincent. The content's not the issue. Like they can be interesting for 10 episodes or 20 episodes or whatever they want to do. The problem is with produced show and putting it out there and doing the RSS feeds and rendering the videos and cutting out this and editing where people don't want to talk and all that kind of stuff surrounding the content is actually what drains people the most when it comes to podcast production. It's not the content. If they just sat down like me and you and had a conversation, that the rest of it would be easy. And then when you get into sponsorships, dealing with sponsors, collecting the money, putting the ads in and then sending it out and doing the LinkedIn and doing the social media and the Instagram. And that's what crushes people. It becomes a full-time job.
Yes. And, that's the difference between being an entrepreneur and being someone who wants to be your own boss. I think there's a difference because, entrepreneurs or, people like you and myself, we have an infinite mentality as opposed to a finite mentality. What I mean by that is people with that infinite mentality know that you may do, and you may work for hours or days or months at a time, but you may not get compensated for that for a while. Or you may put in a lot more time and effort than you think that you deserve to. As opposed to that finite mentality where if you have a job, it's a set schedule. You know when you're going in. It's a set pay period. And you know that regardless of what work you do, you're going to get paid this set amount every 2 weeks. And so there's a difference.
Most people can't live with that uncertainty.
Right. Or with the possibility of having to wake up at any time of the night and say, oh, I forgot this and I have to jump on this.
Sure. It's interesting. So the entrepreneurial journey is not for everybody.
It's not.
I've been on it for 20 years now and I've started a lot of businesses. Get a Grip Studios will be my 6th business that I've started. It's what I say to people say to me, like, it's so risky to be an entrepreneur. Okay. And I think they're right about that. But when there's nothing less risky than being a successful entrepreneur, actually.
Yes.
Like once you figure out, like being an entrepreneur is not what people who aren't entrepreneurs think it is. You have a lot of people that talk about entrepreneurship. You go to an entrepreneurship group and what you find in those groups is a bunch of sole proprietors or finite people, right? Real estate agents, mortgage brokers. And like, I'm not saying entrepreneurs are better than sole proprietors or whatever. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that an entrepreneur puts a system in place that is a corporation or a corporate system in place, which can operate with the entrepreneur's absence, which can deliver the value to the customers without that person being there.
Yes.
If the person who started the business has to be there all the time, then they're not really an entrepreneur. They're a sole proprietor. And that's okay. This is not a hierarchy. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, like a surgeon that gets paid $2 million a year, okay, that happens to own his own surgical company, but he does all the surgeries or she does all the surgeries. That person is not an entrepreneur. They're a surgeon. They're a sole proprietor, right? Regardless as to technically the legal status of their tax status. It doesn't matter what their tax status is. You understand what I mean?
Right. Because if you take them away from the equation, then the whole entire formula just collapses. And so, yeah.
Yeah. Now, an orthopedic surgeon who starts a business and hires other orthopedic surgeons and then begins to manage them and do the marketing and all that, that's an entrepreneurial adventure.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I think a lot of people don't think about entrepreneurship the right way. A lot of advice people get is wrong. And the other thing too, what do you think about, so, the venture capitalist thing that goes on? You're from California, so you would see this more than me, but there's like the idea of getting funding, I'm not talking about a loan from the bank. Like you probably have a bank loan as an entrepreneur, right? But I'm talking about like this capitalist, somebody comes in and gives you $5 million to start a business. I'm not really sure that's true entrepreneurship either. I think that's more business management for. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't, and people are going to, and I'm not saying one is better than the other, but I think the entrepreneur is somebody who is fully in charge of the enterprise from its startup phase through to where its growth and then possibly sale or ongoing, creating it ongoing in a way that extracts the entrepreneur from the situation. I think that, that's a different thing too. And I think it would be interesting to teach a class on this in university, in college or high school that says, these are the different types of businesses you can own. And this is entrepreneurship.
Right. In fact, that's what they need to teach in college.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. This thing is not for the faint of heart, man. It can become very discouraging at times, and it can have very harsh realizations of, like you talk about, that's that starting from a grassroots level of having completely nothing and seeing like for instance, with me writing this book, I'm going into this on a risk and reward type of thing, right? It's like, okay, I'm glad that this book is done, but now here comes the next step of getting that first sale, the first authentic sale, people who I don't know, and I don't know where that sale came from.
Someone that wants to read a book,
right?
Not someone that likes you. Yeah,
exactly. And you go from that to seeing the next 5 people who I don't know have bought the book, and just so on. So that growth is, it does take a lot of faith. Because it takes a lot of believing without seeing. You do have to see this thing to the end. And like I said, man, it's not for the faint of heart. Everyone can't get through it because, there are going to be people who look at you like you're crazy when you come to them with this stuff. There are going to be people who try to steer you in another direction of, you don't want to do that. Are you crazy? Oh, you're on your 6th business already. Just let it go.
Well, I told my accountant, so he runs an investment company, my accountant that I've been using for years and years. And he's like, why don't you just take your capital and give it to me and I'll invest it and you can have 8 or 9% on your money because he's got a good portfolio of investments or whatever. And then you can go do whatever you want. I'm like, this is what I want. I'm not in this really. I'm not really in it for the money. Yeah. I am in it. Like money is it's not a necessary evil, but it's a necessity. Like you have to make a profit. You have to You have to buy for $1 and sell for $2. That is the challenge by definition.
Yes, it is.
Like it's not like this idea that, oh, profit doesn't matter and social responsibility. Like a lot of those people, like as much as I love the idea of dovetailing a business with, for example, all of my businesses are not all of them, but uh, two of them are extremely environmentally responsible. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the businesses I run is a lighting company called Lighting Solutions that provides LED lighting systems for customers. Okay. And so we've saved millions and millions of kilowatt hours of energy for people, millions, like maybe hundreds of millions of kilowatt hours for customers. So that translates into less pollution, less electricity use, right? The other company I started is a company that recycles hard to recycle household hazardous waste. So things that are not as hazardous that require like trucks that people are wearing suits in that are specially trained, but stuff like batteries and light bulbs and smoke detectors and stuff like this that people can't throw in the garbage. The responsible person wants to make sure that they're disassembled correctly and that the hazardous parts are not thrown into landfill or burned in an incinerator. Fluorescent tubes and this kind of stuff with mercury in them. And most people don't know that smoke detectors are actually radiation. They have americium, I think 564 in them. So there's actually radioactive waste is what makes a smoke detector work.
Yeah.
Most people don't know that, right? Wow. And so we collect thousands of, millions of old light bulbs and smoke detectors and batteries and all this stuff. And we make sure that they go to facilities where they're demanufactured correctly in a way that gets rid of the hazardous waste. So I think it's great when people can dovetail solutions to major societal problems without costing the government anything. And in fact, I pay taxes to the government, right?
Yes.
So the government's not paying for any of this wonderful activity I'm doing. In fact, I'm paying them for the right to do it. Right. So I think it's fantastic. What I'm always suspicious of when people come out is like, well, I want to save the world and the government should pay me to do it or give me money to do it because I can't. I think that's the wrong approach. And I don't think, this idea where social responsibility goes ahead of profit and loss. Who gets to choose who is being socially responsible then, Vincent?
Right.
Like who's the chooser then, right?
Yeah.
It's like, there's different associations out there that exist in my jurisdiction, okay, whose sole existence is predicated on the fact that they get government money and get donations from people to increase awareness about household hazardous waste recycling. Okay? Those people get not millions, but they get hundreds of thousands of dollars from the government and donations and tax breaks. They've never recycled a single light bulb.
Yeah. And that's the problem.
Right? Like they're doing awareness creation. And I think we need a certain amount of awareness creation. But in my mind, an entrepreneur says, I can solve that problem and pay taxes to the government while doing it. And you understand what I mean? Like, I'm not going to be a negative. I'm not going to be a taker. I'm going to be a giver. A giver of jobs, a giver of taxes, a giver of profits, a supporter of the economic system. I'm not going to be one that takes from the economic system. So there, I question, that's another thing. It's like that's emerging right now, this idea that social responsibility trumpets profit. No, man, the goal is to do the social responsibility while earning a profit.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. You understand what I mean? That's what an entrepreneur does by definition. He gives value or she gives value to the society. And that is not a burden. That's the whole idea of it.
Yeah. But it's that instant gratification. Yeah. People just love to. I think that, people see get a taste of this luxurious life, or they think that being an entrepreneur comes with having cars, jewelry, clothes, possessions, the pizzazz, and No, this is an ugly lifestyle. Like you said, this is going to be something where you have to be very solution oriented, and you have to come into it with the thought of, like you said, how can I contribute to society and not just take from it? How can I get someone? How can I help someone get their book out without having to break the bank for it?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
how can I create a product or service that other people actually want to pay for?
Absolutely.
You understand what I mean? Like,
yeah.
That is value by definition.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And when you're talking about instant gratification, I think you're right. I think it's also like a sense of ego validation, right? Yes, where it's like, I'm a good person, so somebody should give me some money for that because I'm trying to do this or that. And it's like, no, dude, you have to earn the money by giving the value on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
And that's how you earn it.
For. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what entrepreneurship is.
Absolutely.
And these guys, like I have my group of businesses, what you would call a small, medium-sized enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not a small business, but it's not it's a small, medium-sized business. Okay. Right. So, but these people that start businesses that employ hundreds of people eventually, and they build millions and hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue sometimes. My hat is off to those people 100%, man.
Yeah.
100%. And the idea that they're the problem, which is emerging a lot now, is that the problem is the 1% guys or the 10% guys. And, maybe I think the problem is that the IRS has to have a better tax strategy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that Jeff Bezos earned $100 billion and now he's the problem. No,
it's a problem with the system and them being able to kind of cheat and maneuver. So
I don't know if he cheated. I wouldn't say cheat. Mm-hmm. I would say that the fact that Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Google are not US-based companies is unbelievable. Like, that their head offices are not in America.
Yeah.
Like they're domiciled, a lot of them are domiciled in Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
So they pay taxes to Ireland.
Wow. Yeah.
Not to the United States.
Yeah.
Like the fact that that's allowed to happen is the problem. It's not that the business owners do that. Like let's say you're running a business, okay?
Right.
Let's say you're running the business. And let's say you built yourself a nice business, Vincent, and you're earning, let's say you're earning maybe you are. Let's say you're earning $600,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
That's a nice business, dude.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, let's make it even. Let's say you're earning $1 million a year.
All right.
Okay. That's not your revenue. That's your profit.
Yeah.
Okay. And let's say, someone tells you that if you file in a different state or in a different country, your taxes are going to go from $450,000 US to $100,000 US.
I'm taking that every time.
Right. So you're evil, Vincent, just like Jeff Bezos. Mm-hmm. No, that's a rational decision, right?
Right.
They're playing by the rules. They're allowed to do this, right? So why wouldn't they do it? So people are pointing in the wrong direction. Yeah. They're saying that the problem is that successful guy over there who built a business and has 50,000 employees, all of his employees who pay taxes to the federal government of the United States. That guy's the problem. Or that girl's the problem.
Yeah.
No. The problem is that the government of the United States or Canada allows him to set up a business which is in America, but is pretending to be an Irish company or pretending to be a company from the Turks and Caicos. That's the problem.
Yeah. And I think I equate that to people's prejudice. People are, they're not going to be prejudiced more so towards the system, but they will be prejudiced towards that billion-dollar business mogul that they just don't like just for their own personal reasons. Who knows why? Some people just don't like.
It's envy, man. It's envy.
Yeah.
It's envy. Like the idea that people are angry Look, I mean, there are social issues in the United States, but the problem is not the successful people. The problem is that maybe the government lacks the kind of um, fortitude. Like another one is like another part of the government is antitrust. Do you know what antitrust is? Antitrust legislation. Okay, so antitrust legislation is like when a company has a monopoly, they have to be broken up. You're not allowed to have a monopoly, right? So Google has a monopoly over internet searches, right? Facebook has a monopoly over social media. Okay, so like not Apple doesn't have a monopoly. No, but Apple doesn't. But Apple shouldn't be broken up. But Facebook and Google should and Microsoft probably as well, and Amazon. So Amazon doesn't make any money from its store, by the way. Amazon makes all its money renting out server space to people. Amazon Web Services, okay? So Amazon Web Service has a monopoly over cloud-based computing. Google has a monopoly over internet searches. Does anybody think instead of saying, that the leader of Amazon's a problem, why don't they say like Google should be broken up so that other competitors can enter that space?
Yeah.
Right? They're getting all the money. Right? Why should they get all the money? Right? We need so that's antitrust legislation. So there's like different angles where we need a good, strong government to come in and make the rules for us and make them stronger, and so that the playing field is a little more equal, rather than changing the results of the game.
Right.
Right? Would you rather that everyone played on the same field with the same tools, or would you rather that the government change the score at the end of the game?
No, that first one. I would rather there be a fair playing field. We're gonna see who's the best one. Let's see the best man win.
Exactly. Vincent Bowe.
Yes, indeed.
Love talking to you, man. Thanks for being a guest.
Oh, it's been real, man. I appreciate you. And hey, man, this has been fun.
No, me too, man. I'm gonna buy your book for sure because I got 4 kids and they're all into that fantasy fiction world.
Cool, so bro. They will love it. They will love it.
I'm buying it right after this. Vincent Bowe, thanks for being a guest on the Get a Grip on Life podcast.
Thank you.
Folks.
God bless.
God bless to you. Thank you. If you're listening to this, you made it all the way with Vincent and I. We appreciate it, both of us. I can speak on behalf of him for sure with that. Thank you for listening. And if you've gone this far, I bet a huge portion of you is thinking, man, I could start a podcast. I could do it. You know what, man? Save up a couple $1,000 and don't waste your time trying to become an AV engineer, man. If a podcast is a business, that's what it is. So hire the professionals to take care of all the nonsense that you don't know how to do. Hey, man, if you're trying to publish a book, stay focused on writing the story. Yes. Let Vincent at, sorry, I'm just looking at it here. The, what's the name of that company? The Vault Publishing.
Yes, the Vault Publishing.
Use Vincent's services at the Vault Publishing, man, because you know what? All the other stuff outside starting a podcast and outside writing a book is the problem. That's what's going to crush you. And if you think, well, oh man, I got to give Vincent $1,000 or I got to give Get a Grip Studios $1,200 or whatever. No, man, I can do it all myself. Man, you got to ask yourself what you want to get paid per hour and then divide it by that $1,200 and see if it's worth it. Because every hour that you're trying to edit a podcast audio and upload it to Google Play and upload it to Amazon and do the RSS feeds and cut it into links so you can put it on your social media and all that crazy stuff that happens with a podcast, you got to ask yourself, how many hours are you going to spend on something you don't know how to do instead of staying in your lane and doing the things that you're really good at, which is the creative side. So you go to getagripstudios.com. That's getagripstudios.com. And Vincent, he's still here. What's the website they should go to for the Vault Publishing?
Yes, go to www.mechacompany.com. And again, to purchase that book, you go to thedisplayseries.com.
Thanks for listening, folks.
All right, take care.